Okay, so I told you guys in the beginning of the semester that I have two example speech stories, things that happened to me that are kind of exciting. One was why I'm responsible for the Sooners losing the 2008 BCS game. And the other one was the time I almost got arrested, all right? So I have another story for you that happened actually last week, right? And this is, I've been giving these stories for years and years since I've been teaching public speaking, and now I have a third story that I'm going to add to this whenever I give example introduction speeches. So let me tell you how this story happened. So 2 weeks ago on Saturday, the OU played Tennessee, and I live 3 blocks off the stadium, so I always have a barbecue or tailgate in my front yard, and I'll invite all my friends over. And so I had this barbecue tailgate, and so we had 10, 15 people there, and it was a good time. So towards the end of the event, of the tailgate and the barbecue, 2 people came by, and they were people I didn't know, but that tends to happen. People walk by and ask to use our bathroom, and we talked to the people that walked by on the street in front of us. It wasn't a big deal. I didn't really think much of them, but they came by, okay? But they kind of hung out a little bit. Like I said, I didn't really think much of them. So then on Sunday and Monday, I started losing track of it. I was there were some things I couldn't find. So a salt shaker, my watch, 2 pieces of mail in my mailbox. One was a birthday card for my mom. One was a Netflix DVD. And then the keys to my scooter. I couldn't find those, which also had a house key in it. Like I said, I didn't really think much of it. I was like, oh, the salt ended up in one of my neighbor's houses. We ended up putting people's ketchup on plates every once in a while, so we figured it out. And then I didn't think about the watch and the keys. I thought they'd just fallen behind the couch or something like that. So I didn't really think much of it. And then, so that happened Sunday, Monday. I was losing track of these things, and so I was looking for them, but I couldn't find them. So then on Thursday, the girl that came, it was a guy and a girl. The girl came by at 10 o'clock in the morning, right? And her name was Samantha. And she comes by and she knocks on my door, and I'm like, okay, what are you doing? She had a little blue suitcase with her and 2 or 3 bags with stuff. And I was like, well, what? She was like, I got here. I'm moving. I've got my stuff in a storage facility. Can I come sleep on your couch? And she kind I don't really let her in, but she comes in, and I didn't really stop her. It was because I kind of recognized her, and I was like, what? She looked a little like she was having some problems, and she's in trouble. So I let her in. And then she's like, hey, can I sleep on your couch? And I was like, no, you can't sleep on the couch. I gotta leave. I'm not gonna be here all day. But she's like, no, I'm gonna leave. So then she dumps all of her stuff on my floor. So her blue suitcase and her bags were all on my floor. And out pops from her bag is my salt shaker, right? My salt shaker. And I'm like, hey, that's my salt shaker. I've been looking for that. And then it comes to my mind starts clicking, hey, let's mention these other things that I can't find, which is my Netflix DVD and my mom's birthday card and my watch and my scooter keys. And she's like, oh no, I don't have that. I don't have that. I don't have that. I'm sorry I took this. I meant to bring it back. I just ended up with, my salt shaker. And so, she's like, oh, you can go through my stuff. So I start going through her stuff looking for things. I never found anything of my stuff, but I did find some other men's watches. And then she produced a little screwdriver that you would open up watches with, the little mini screws. And then about halfway through, I'm going through her stuff. She's like, don't quit going through my stuff. And I was like, hey, you just said I could go through your stuff. And then she gets really irritated. She gets really agitated. And she would do this kind of while she would go from being really calm and talking to me, and then she would go to really agitated and violent. And this is when she balls up her fist and punches me. And I'm not talking she slaps me or hits me or pushes me. She balls up her fist and punches me. And she was left-handed because she punched me right here. And I'm sitting there thinking, hey, this person just punched me. What? I was never physically worried that she could hurt me, because it did hurt a little bit, but it didn't cause a mark. No one would have looked at me the next day or that later day and said, hey, you got punched by somebody. But anyway, I was like, hey, you just punched me. And then she starts flipping out and throwing stuff all around my house. All over my house, everywhere. Some of my stuff, some of her stuff. And she breaks some things. I had a little lantern, if it gets, if you lose power, and that broke. Anyway. So I still keep talking, what is going on here? And then it's like, okay, you need to leave, you need to go. Then she says, go ahead and call the police. I don't care, I'll just tell them you sexually harassed me. And so, okay, and she said that a few times, and I don't know if she really wanted me to call the police, or if she was trying to like bluff me to not calling the police. Then she goes into my fridge, and she grabs, my friend Steve had brought over some Keystone Light, and I don't drink Keystone Light. I try to avoid that. So I had a bunch of Keystone Light that was Steve's in my fridge. She was chugging Keystone Light, lots of Keystone. She went to like 3 cans of Keystone Light. And she starts eating my cheese and some croutons that I had, a bag of croutons, like salad. She was eating my stuff. And I'm like, okay, this woman something's wrong with her. And she would go from like normal, like talking to me, to like really agitated, right? So then she starts eating my stuff. And then I'm still like, hey, you need to go, And she says, I'm not leaving, you need to leave me alone. Go ahead and call the police, I don't care. I'll just tell them you sexually harassed me. And then, so then she says, I'm going to go sleep on your couch. And you need to leave me alone. I'm like, I'm just sitting here, I'm not going to leave you alone in my living room. Because I already established that she had some of my stuff. And she had some other stuff that, why would she have all these men's watches? So, then, this is where I already got a little weird when she punched me, like I say. And it hurt a few days later, because, then she sat on my couch, and she peed herself. Like, she sat on my couch and peed herself, right? And I'm like, hey, you just wet yourself on my couch. You need to leave. You need to go. Okay. So then her response to peeing herself is she's like, okay. So she changed clothes right in the middle of the room, like stripped down completely naked, right in front of me, and changed his clothes. So for better or for worse, I did not have my contacts in at this time. So I couldn't really see what was going on. This is when I put my contacts in, because then it was like, I need to know what's going on in my house. So she changed clothes, and I'm like, okay, you need to leave. And then I started, so I went back in my back room, and I got some like grocery bags, like some plastic grocery bags, like started bagging up her stuff again. And she gets really irritated. She balls up her fist again, and it's like she's gonna punch me. And then I'm like, okay, don't do that. Don't do that. And then so I bag her all stuff, put her by the door. I'm like, okay, you need to leave. She's like, no, I'm not leaving. You need to leave me alone. I'm gonna sleep on your couch. I'm like, no, you need to leave. And then so I took her stuff and put it outside in the yard. And then she's like, I'm not leaving. So then she kind of gets the idea she's not gonna be there much longer. So she gets on her phone. She starts calling people to like come pick her up. And I think one of them was named Scott. And I don't know any of these people, but she starts calling people to get a ride from my house. And then she starts negotiating with them. Well, I can get this guy to drive me halfway there, and we can meet. I'm like, I'm not meeting other people. I'm not meeting other people to drop you off. And I was like, where can I take you, and you will leave. So she's like, I have a storage facility with my stuff. You can take me there, and then we'll be done. Can you ride? So I go, okay. So I put all of her stuff in my car, then I put her in my car, and I drive her to the storage facility. And I drop her off, put her stuff on and as we're driving, she's talking about how, in The Simpsons, when Sideshow Bob is like, lives in a storage facility, he's like, oh, you can totally live in a storage facility. I've had my water turned off, you can totally live there. And then, so I drop her stuff off, she's like, we're still gonna be friends, like, we'll talk again, right? And I'm like, no, you just punched me in the face. So I took her stuff and put it on the ground next to the storage facility, and she got out, and then I drove off. And that was the end of the story. So then I'm like sitting there, I'm like, okay, this is really weird, this happened. So I went to my friend Steve's work is on campus, so I went and visited him, and I was like, hey, do you remember this person? Like, no. And I told him, going through this whole story, he's like, oh, you need to call the police, you need, she makes an accusation, you need to have something on the record. And I'm like, not really thinking I need to do that, but then I called my friend Will, who was also there, and Will and Tracy, his wife, or fiance Tracy, was there, and he was like, you need to call the police. So then, and Steve was like, you need to write up something so you've got it all written out, so you know what happened. So then the next day I called the police, and they come out, and I give them my 2-page little statement, and we do a police report, and they dusted my salt shaker for prints. You can see it's kind of dirty, right? There were no prints on it, and probably if there would be mine, because it's my salt shaker. They dusted a couple of Keystone Light cans, and that's the end of the story. So this is the time that I was robbed and assaulted by a crack whore. And I also, although I'm thinking more it was probably pills, because I found some little red pills. I think they're just Advil on my floor. I have a couple of clothing. She left a book about dreams, which is really weird.
Red pills are stupid.
Also, I called my landlord, and I literally called my landlord and said, "Hey, I got assaulted and robbed by a crack whore, and she has a key to my house. Can you come change my locks?" He came and changed my locks. So I've got new locks.
She has a key.
She did. It was on the scooter keychain.
Oh.
So this is my crack whore injury. You can see here I cut my hand when she broke some glass, and it did bleed a little bit. So that's my crack whore injury. And then this is the crack whore removal kit. You can see I have several different. This one I had already because I have pets, right? So I immediately sprayed that on, and that's supposed to oxidize your stuff. And then this stuff, in future reference, if you ever have a crack whore in your stuff, this is the good stuff right here. Or maybe you have pets. And actually, those are the 2 pills she left. And these, so this stuff and this stuff are your keys to removing crack whore pee, I think. And then here's my couch being
And that would
cleansed.
support the whole
like she
crack
was,
head,
right?
Yeah.
So, that is the time that I was assaulted and punched in the face and robbed by a crack whore.